a list of the EFT interventions that we have to use. And I just want to pause for a minute because I did want to say something early when we started. If yesterday was overwhelming and you felt lost and you were like, what is going on here? I wanted to offer you two simple takeaways from yesterday so that it doesn't just feel overwhelming. And so I think that the two simple takeaways from yesterday, if this is feeling new to you or overwhelming, it would be, first of all, that we looked at the two basic strategies or ways of coping with difficult emotions. Right? We looked at two basic things to make it as simple as possible. This is what attachment theory gives us. When we don't have a secure other to go to for comfort, when we're in distress, there's two basic options, right? We turn it up, we rev it up, or we lock it down, anxious or avoidant. And sometimes those get mixed up and we do some of both, but I want you to have that with you, that there are these two basic ways that we cope with difficult emotions. And these form patterns then that become rigid, reinforcing feedback loops. And this is the problem, right? So the problem is how people cope with their difficult emotions. And that's the first thing that we're doing in EFIT, is we're helping people recognize, yeah, this is what I do. And we're helping people recognize it makes sense. And we normalize it. And we even give them credit for it. Given what you lived through, it makes sense that you're doing that. And as our most recent example, right? Given what he survived, it makes sense that he locked it all down, especially because he's afraid if he doesn't lock it down, he'll become a social beast. So we validate it makes sense, and then they're free to move on. So that's the one thing from yesterday, is that we have these two basic ways. All human beings, our clients that are struggling with huge anxiety and depression and other mental health issues, and ourselves as fellow human beings, we have two ways of dealing when we don't have a safe other to go to with our difficult emotions. They run amok and they go all over the place and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, or we shut it all down until we don't know who we are and what's going on. The second takeaway from yesterday, I hope, is that our job as EFIT therapists is not to fix. Oh no, that you've got this problem. I'll give you some strategies. I'll teach you this. I'll teach you that. I'll help you. I'll give you encouragement. Our job is not to fix. Our job is to join with, to engage with, right? So the first takeaway that I was giving you about the two strategies for emotion regulation are kind of theoretical. It's things to look for. This second takeaway is more practical. Our job is not to fix, but it's to join with the client in their distress. And the way we do it in EFIT, or any kind of all modalities of EFT, the way we do it is we follow this tango, right? So, and what you took from yesterday was the first move of the tango is that we mirror the present process. That's the starting point. And if all you leave with from yesterday or even these 3 days is that much, that's a good start. If this is new to you, you leave with, I'm tuning into what is the basic attachment strategy, the basic pattern, wrapping it up or tamping it down that this client uses to deal with their emotional distress. What is that? I'm tuning into that. And next, I'm reflecting it, right? And reflecting what they're stuck in, and seeing that's the problem. It makes sense you did that to survive that childhood, to survive that trauma, to cope with that difficult marriage. It makes sense you did that. Now it's starting to be a problem because you're stuck in doing that all the time. Right? So that's mirroring the present process. That's move one of the tango. Okay, so then as we're moving into day 2, we're looking not only at move 1 of the tango, but now move 2 of the tango, which is, this is what happens on the surface. I do this. I see, I see somebody with a child, um, in their stroller going down the street, and I immediately have this pang of shame um, because I wanted to have children, and this is a client, this story. I wanted to have children. I never had children. I feel so much helping them notice that there is this pang of grief that keeps getting triggered, and it's the underlying emotion that's driving their pattern of behavior. So as we move into the second move of the tango, we're helping people assemble their emotion, make a coherent sense out of how their emotional experience plays out, so that we can get to the core, underlying, most important disowned part of their emotional experience. But if that doesn't make a lot of sense right now, I'll remind you that as we start looking at emotion, we're looking at emotion as an active process, an active perception, feeling, meaning, action process. Emotion isn't just a feeling, right? It's an active process. So we're going to spend time with that this morning as well.